blankets are warm, the dark is still deep. But a man was not made for the comfort of sleep. Marcus wrote to himself in the cold of the camp, "Rise, not for glory, not for fame. Rise because rising is what you became." Before the sun has cleared the ridge, before the valley fills with light, I pull myself from the hollow warmth and face the unbegun. The emperor woke to the same cold air, the same reluctance, the same bare wall. He wrote himself a reckoning before the footsteps in the hall. There is work that waits in the waking world that only hands like mine can hold. Not glory, not a crown to wear, just the doing, plain and old. Every morning is a quiet test of what a life is really for. And the man who rises keeps his word to the one he was before. The birds don't wait for willingness, the ants don't ask the hour. The world moves through its business with or without my power. So what complaint could I carry to the rising of the sun? That I was born to be alive and have not yet begun. He said, don't think about the warm bed. Think about what the warm bed costs. Every hour given to comfort is an hour of the living lost. This isn't cruelty turned inward. This is kindness, plain and clear. You were given a day. Make use of what is here. There is work that waits in the waking world that only hands like mine can hold. Not glory, not a crown to wear, just the doing, plain and old. Every morning is a quiet test of what a life is really for. And the man who rises meets the day as he promised, nothing more. The ridge turns gold, the valley stirs, the day begins without a word. Seneca rose and reminded himself of the one thing that never could stay. That fortune is not what she seems in your hands. She gives, and she takes, and she walks away. What you hold in the morning was never your own. Hold it with open hands. Hold it alone. smoke from last night's fire has already changed its shape. Everything we build up has a door and a drape. The house will stand until it doesn't. The river runs until it slows. The morning feels like permanence, but permanence is what nobody knows. So hold your days like water, cupped but never gripped. Let what comes find you steady. Let what goes be let slip. You were born into a borrowing. Every morning proves it true. What fortune placed into your hands was never meant for you to keep just to you. He wrote it not as sorrow, but as a steadying of the ground. If you know the flood is coming, you won't be swept around. The towns that Sirius swallowed were not less real for being gone. What mattered was the living, the love, the work, the carrying on. Mortal, you were born, to mortals you have given life. Reckon on everything, expect the ordinary strife. Not to darken every daybreak, but to hold it without chains. The man who fears no losing is the one the morning grain. So hold your days like water, cupped but never gripped. Let what comes find you steady. Let what goes be let slip. You were born into a borrowing. Every morning proves it true. And the wisest thing about this day is knowing it was given, not your due. The fog lifts, the ridge clears. Everything you love is briefly, beautifully here.
He said, when you rise in the morning, tell yourself what the day will contain. The ungrateful, the selfish, the restless, the ones who will not hear your name. Not because the world is against you, but because they have not found the light. So go out prepared, not hardened. Go out with your eyes open wide. I don't go out expecting flowers. I don't expect the road to clear. I just expect the ordinary friction of living in a world like here. Someone will cut the morning short. Someone will carry someone else's weight. Someone will speak without their thinking, and I'll stand there at the gate. Expect the dark, it isn't weakness. Expect the stone before the fall. Not to live in dread of daylight, but to meet it standing tall. The soldier doesn't fear the battle, because he's met it in his mind. expect the dark and walk toward morning, clear-eyed, steady, and on time. The man who snaps will meet his anger long before the cause arrives. The woman who expects the reckless driver gets home, she survives. This isn't building walls around the living, this is knowing what a wall is for. Marcus rose and named the day's opponents, so none of them could shake him to the core. They are not evil, just unfinished, just as we once were and still might be. The one who cuts you off in traffic was someone's child, same as thee. So the premeditation is an armor against the people, just the shock. Wind the clock before the morning, and the morning never stops the clock. Expect the dark, it isn't weakness. Expect the stone before the fall. Not to live in dread of daylight, but to meet it standing tall. You've already walked this road in silence, in the hour before the world was allowed. Expect the dark and greet the morning, unbothered, unafraid, unbowed. The door is there, you know what waits. In knowing, that's the grace. Open it. Epictetus said, some things are ours, and some things never were. Your choice, your will, your way of seeing, these are yours, the rest a blur. The weather, the verdict, the other man's tongue. Set them down at the edge of the door. Take only what belongs to living, and leave the rest upon the floor. I woke this morning carrying a weight I hadn't named, something borrowed from tomorrow, something no one ever claimed. The outcome of a conversation, the way a stranger chose to speak, the gap between what I was hoping and the answer that I seek. What is mine to carry, I will carry. What is not, I leave beside the road. There's a freedom in the choosing of the weight inside the load. I can choose the way I face it, I can't choose what comes my way. What is mine to carry, I will carry, and I'll walk lighter through the day. He was born into the shackles, couldn't choose the iron or the chain, but inside every bound condition, something in him stayed unclaimed. They could take his body's freedom, couldn't touch the way he thought. The only room that no one enters is the one that can't be bought. The rain will fall on the just and unjust,
The verdict lands where it will land. Your reputation lives in others, not in your own hand. But the response, the meeting of the moment, the choice of tongue, of deed, of care, that room is yours and only yours, and no one else can enter there. What is mine to carry, I will carry, with both hands and a steady spine. What is not, I'll watch it leave me, without calling after what's not mine. I can meet the world with something steady, something no one else can move or break. What is mine to carry, I will carry, lightly, for my own clear sake. Set it down, walk on. The load was always half of what you thought.
Marcus began with the people who shaped him. He named them his grandfather, his mother, his kin. Not vague thanks thrown up at the ceiling, but specific, and he meant every one of them. Seneca said, "Find joy in what is simple, the health in your body, the roof overhead. Before the day makes any demands of you, be grateful for this morning's bread." Yeah. The window glass holds the first gray light before the color fills it in. I haven't spoken, haven't risen, haven't let the day begin. But there's a warmth here in the noticing, before the warning finds its voice. The breath, the quiet, the particular morning, these were not a given, they were a choice. This morning's bread is more than bread. It's the whole unlikely fact of here, that the night passed without its taking, and the day has reappeared. Not the grand and not the glorious, just the plain and the alive. This morning's bread, this bowl of daylight, this improbable arrive. Yeah, he wrote down names, his father's patience, his mother's plainness, her refusal to spend, a teacher's stubborn gift of silence, a friend who never tried to bend. What we inherit from the careful, what we carry from the kind, is worth more than the whole day's commerce, worth the first 10 minutes of the mind. True happiness, Seneca said, is to enjoy what is, without the anxious eye towards future, without the fist. The greatest blessings are inside us, already resting, already near. And the wisest thing to do each morning is simply register, they're here. This morning's bread is more than bread. It's the whole unlikely weight of grace, that the people who once taught us something left their mark upon our face. Not the grand and not the glorious, just the small and the sustained. This morning's bread, this quiet presence, this day, however it is gained. The color fills the window, the valley starts to sound.
everything that matters is already here, already found.
Cleanthes carried water through the dark, so he could learn philosophy by light. Chrysippus ran until his legs gave answer to questions he had wrestled through the night. Zeno walked the merchant's road at morning, his body and his thinking both in line. They did not separate the flesh from wisdom. The body serves the mind. Before the stiffness gets its grip, before the reasons not to start, I take the body out to meet the morning before the thinking steals the heart. It's not about the proving or the distance, not the record or the ache. It's about the ordinary discipline of rising for its own clear sake. The body serves the mind that guides it. The mind grows sharper in the strain. What do we push past in the early hours we don't stumble on again? Voluntary, not punishment, a threshold that we choose to cross. So when the world demands its toll of us, we've already counted what it cost. Seneca said, treat the body firmly, not as enemy, as tool. A sword that isn't worked goes rusty. A mind that coddles grows a fool. Cleanthes didn't need a gymnasium, just the way to water and the hour. Philosophy was always practical to him, built from endurance, not just power. This is not self-punishment dressed plainly. This is knowing what a life demands. The Stoic who runs in the early morning runs towards something, not from what he can't stand. The ache is not the point, the showing up is the commitment before the cost is known. And every morning that the body rises is a morning that the mind has grown. The body serves the mind that guides it. The mind grows clearer in the work, not the performance, just the practice, just the showing up before the dark. Voluntary, that's the whole distinction. A threshold crossed before the day begins. So when life puts its weight upon your shoulders, you've already met the weight within 1 foot, then the other. The ridge awaits. Go. Zeno said, life consistently. Cleanthes said, with nature. Add those words. Not the river or the mountain only, but the order running under and above. The cosmos is a living thing with reason, and you are made of what it's made of too. So the morning ritual ends in belonging, in opening your hands to what is true. doesn't argue with the valley, the oak doesn't refuse the season's turn. The hawk rides what the thermal offers without demanding more than what it earns. The cosmos is a living thing with reason, and you are made of what it's made of too. So the morning ritual ends in belonging, in opening your hands to what is true. The river doesn't argue with the valley, the oak doesn't refuse the season's turn. The hawk rides what the thermal offers without demanding more than what it earns. I used to press against the given, used to name the weather as my foe. Now I stand here in the morning's offering and let myself belong to the flow. Live according to the nature of the moment, live according to the order of the whole. Not resigned but deeply rooted, not diminished but made full. The logos runs through leaf and limestone, through the emperor's hand and the beggar's cup. Live according to what reason holds together, and the living will be enough. Cleanthes wrote a hymn to Zeus at morning, not the god of lightning and of wars, but the principle of order in the cosmos, the thread behind the visible and more. He said, "Lead me where you will, O fortune. I follow willing or unwilling still." But the willing man is free inside the leading, and the unwilling drags against his will. Amor fati, love of fate, not the gritting of the teeth, not the forced smile at the unbearable, but something underneath. A recognition, this is what is given, and the given is the only ground there is. Every morning you can fight the offering, or you can make the offering yours. Live according to the nature of the morning, live according to the fire in the stone. Not alone in a resistant darkness, but woven, carried, never fully alone. The logos runs through every Appalachian hollow, through the slave's hard wisdom and the emperor's pen. Live according to what reason holds together, and come morning, let it all begin again. The mountain holds, the river moves, the morning comes without asking. You are part of this. Begin. Before the world makes its demands of you, before the noise finds your name. Seneca said, "Take one thing, one true thing,
carry it into the day like a flame. Not a library, not a lecture. One sentence held until it burns clear. Epictetus called it armor for the living, the wisdom that you read before you're here. The letters Seneca wrote at morning were not written to the learned few. They were written to a friend who struggled to find solid ground the whole day through. One passage from the ancient pages, before the coffee, before the light, not to fill the head with decoration, but to find a plank to hold tonight. Drink from the source before the river muddies with the ordinary day. Let one clear thought find its footing before the 10,000 crowd the way. You don't need the whole library, you don't need to understand it all. Just one true thing held in the morning is enough to break a long day's fall. Epictetus kept no grand possessions, owned the discourses in his bones. What he carried wasn't written paper, it was understanding worn like stones. He said the lectures aren't the learning, and the reading isn't where it lives. It lives in the moment that you use it, in the patience that the practice gives. What did you bring with you this morning into the noise and the needing crowd? A single sentence from the careful or nothing, just the ordinary aloud. Select one thought, let it sit with you, the way a coal holds heat beyond the flame. And when the afternoon turns difficult, you'll find it there, still burning, still the same. Drink from the source before the river clouds with what the busy hours bring. Let one clear thought be your companion, a quiet and a philosophical thing. You don't need the grand illumination, you don't need the mountaintop reveal. Just one true thing carried from the morning and the day is something solid, something real. Open the page, find the line, carry it into whatever comes. Somewhere in the second book he wrote this: survey the endless past, survey the future too. The same birth, the same passing, the same returning. How small the stage, how brief the performance of you. Not to diminish, to release you. Not to make the living feel like less, but to let the ridge show you the whole of it, and find your troubles properly addressed. Climb above the thing that holds you, stand where the wind has no address.
Look out over what the morning covers, the valley and the wilderness. The same birth, the same passing, the same returning. How small the stage, how brief the performance of you. Not to diminish, to release you. Not to make the living feel like less, but to let the ridge show you the whole of it, and find your troubles properly addressed. Climb above the thing that holds you. Stand where the wind has no address, but to let the ridge show you the whole of it, and find your troubles properly addressed. Climb above the thing that holds you. Stand where the wind has no address. Look out over what the morning covers, the valley and the wilderness. Every war that men have argued, every kingdom, every name, from up here they thin to almost nothing. The mountain doesn't know their fame. Take the view from the ridge each morning before you carry what the day assigns. Let the distance do its quiet working. Let it draw the proper lines. Your trouble is real, I won't diminish. What you carry has its weight and cost, but the ridge was here before your reckoning, and will stand here long after it's resolved. Marcus wrote of generations rolling through like water over stone, each one certain of its own importance, each one briefly, then alone. He wasn't cruel about the smallness, he was trying to unclench the fist. The man who sees from the high country is harder for the low country to twist. How many Caesars has the mountain washed? How many empires from this ridge? How many men who thought themselves unmovable dissolved before they crossed the bridge? And you, with your particular burden, your specific careful human weight, stand here long enough each morning, and the weight finds its appropriate state. Take the view from the ridge each morning, not to flee the life that waits below, but to carry it more lightly going downward, with a steadier and a longer kind. To know your trouble is real, and so is morning, and so is the mountain and the sky, and the man who sees them all together has a better kind of reason to try. The valley stirs, the smoke begins, the lives resume. Go down, go back, go lighter than you came.
Where are you this morning? Really? Are you here in the breath and the light? Are you 3 days ahead of yourself, still living in last Thursday's fight? Epictetus asked it plainly. What is the one thing you can touch? Not tomorrow. tomorrow, not the memory. Just this. Is that not enough? I spent last Tuesday and tomorrow. I spent last March inside of fear that arrived and then departed without asking my permission to be here. The mind is a remarkable deserter. It will leave without a word or sign, off somewhere rehearsing its disasters, while the morning passes down the line. The door is now, not what is coming. The door is now, not what has passed. The only threshold worth the standing is the one beneath your feet at last. You can leave again in just a moment, back to the future and its weight. But just for now, just for this morning, step through the door that's open. Step through straight. He never owned the past he came from, couldn't own the future he was due. The only thing Epictetus governed was the way he met what came into view. And from the nothing of his station rose a clarity that emperors sought. The man who lives inside the present cannot be robbed of what the present brought. Notice the light, the particular angle. Notice the temperature against the skin. Notice that you are breathing, actually breathing. Notice what is here before you let the noise begin. This isn't mysticism, it's attention. The oldest and the simplest discipline. The man who knows where he is standing is harder to be moved from where he's been. The door is now, and it is open. The door is now, and it is real. Not the door you dread at Tuesday, not the one that last year tried to seal. Just this hinge, this particular morning, this breath, this ridge, this waking hour. Step through the door that's open, step through steady. The present is the only ground with power. Here, this, now. Nothing else is real yet. Be here. Consider this. You could leave life right now. Marcus wrote it to himself, not as a threat, but as a lantern held against the dark. Let that determine what you do. Let that determine what you say. The man who knows he will not pass this way again walks differently into the day. There was a man who put it all, who said the conversation could wait, who meant to say the thing that mattered, but kept on choosing a later
the way all laters finally do. And the thing unsaid stayed in the silence, where the mental lives its whole life through. You will not pass this way again. This exact morning, this particular light, these hands, this voice, this person beside you, this specific, unrepeatable night. So what is waiting for a better moment? What is saving for a finer day? You will not pass this way again. Say the thing while you still can say. You watch the emperors before him, Hadrian, Augustus, all their names. From the height of all that Roman glory, what remained was less than what it claimed. They all thought themselves indispensable. They all thought the empire needed them. Marcus knew better, wrote it down and kept going. That's the whole of the philosophy stem. This is not a song about the ending. This is not the tolling of a bell. This is just the oldest kind of waking, the one that says you're here, use it well. The urgency is not a weight to carry, it's a wind that clears the fog away. The man who knows his days are finite has the most deliberate kind of day. You will not pass this way again. Not this morning, not this mountain air, not these people in their ordinary living, not this moment, singular and rare. So put the weight down that was never yours and pick up what the morning's asking for. You will not pass this way again. Walk through it like you know what walking's for. The day is short, the list is long. Begin with what matters, leave the rest. You know what matters. Marcus rose from the journal. Epictetus rose from the floor. Seneca sealed his morning letter. Zeno walked out through the door. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They did not wait until the fear was gone. They rose prepared and met the morning and carried the philosophy along. Now you. You sat with the impermanence of things. You've named what's yours and set the rest aside. You've read the line that fortifies the spine. You've stood where you could see the whole wide ride. You've given the body its due discipline.
You've watched the ridge dissolve the small complaints. You've counted what you're grateful to be holding, and walked the morning through its 7 gates. Go now into the day, not armored. Go in with open hands and steady eyes, not looking for the fight, just meeting whatever ordinary life supplies. The preparation wasn't for perfection, it was for the stumbling and the strain. Go now into the day already steady, already something that the night can't quite reclaim. Epictetus carried his philosophy into every room the empire owned, not because the room was always ready, but because he'd made his preparation home. And Marcus went to wars and councils, to the petty and the grateful and the vain. And Seneca put his pen to letters that are read by people waking up today. What is a morning ritual finally for, if not to make the afternoon survivable? What is the stillness at the ridge's edge, if not to make the valley's noise more livable? You practice not for the practicing, you rose not for the rising's sake. You did the 7 things at dawn, so the 8th thing living you could make. Go now into the day already different from the one who might have stumbled through. The work was quiet, the result is simple, a steadier and more deliberate you. Not perfected, not immune to trouble, not above the ordinary weight. Go now into the day already ready, already at the threshold. Go, it's late, the journal's closed, the ridge is behind you, the valley is below. The people are already